Welcome, everyone. My name is Christina Rowe, and we're here today to talk about standout online social media secrets for photographers with photographer Marguerite Beaty. Thank you, Marguerite, for
thank you.
sharing with us today. Marguerite, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I'm a photographer and a photography teacher. I'm getting an echo. Are you?
I don't hear it.
Okay.
Am I echoing or you're okay? Great.
Okay. So I started photographing about 30, maybe even more years ago with film, and when it was very easy and slow, and then slowly started going into digital. And now I teach photography, the business of photography, and I photograph more for pleasure. So I do my travel photography, very little portrait photography, that kind of thing.
And you have some great photography classes too. You've been
teaching. Yes,
Tell us about your classes.
Yeah, I'm teaching online basically. And I teach at the Art Institute. I teach a business class and a portrait class, but I'm teaching at Udemy my own classes. And that's where I'm teaching a baby photography class, which is for new moms or for people who just want to dabble and want to know what it's all about. Teaching an introduction to digital photography, which is getting to know your camera, which is very overwhelming at times. So it's done in a very visual way, so you can get to know your camera and start shooting it in the best way possible, which is the manual mode. Just finishing a food photography class with the iPhone, or better, I'm sorry, with the smartphone. It doesn't matter which phone you have. And that one is for chefs or people who work with the food industry, food bloggers, any foodie travelers, people that love to photograph their own food. So teach you how to do it in the best way possible so that you can be complimentary to the chef, because you want to show their work of art in the best way possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great, we were talking about this, food photography. I mean, besides the fact regular people, we like to go to the restaurant and take pictures of our food to put on Instagram and social media, or we make a great recipe and we want to share it on Pinterest. So your course is phenomenal for anybody who wants to do that. But then you've got the professionals who work, in social media for restaurants, managers, food bloggers, chefs. You really want to present your dish in the best light and share that for marketing. So I think it's going to be, I'm excited to take it. It's going to be a terrific course, and it's going to be available on Udemy very soon, right?
Very soon.
Right. And
hopefully by the end of the month. Yeah.
Yes. And Marguerite is just wonderful with, she really utilizes social media in a really great way. And she's, she runs several Facebook fan pages for your different courses. And you have a group on LinkedIn, which is marketing and social media for photographers, right?
Marketing social media for photographers. And I was just listening to something how LinkedIn is changing their groups. Did you hear that? Yeah. They're turning into private groups. And it's going to be harder to grow the groups, but it's also going to control the spam, which I don't know. It's very good. Yeah, because the groups were getting spammed all the time. So I'm not sure I'm sure in the beginning it's going to be a little bit complicated, but I'm not sure how it's going to work in the long term.
Right, for the groups. And groups are really a great way on LinkedIn to get to know people. So hopefully it won't be that hard to find them, or be able to participate in them. Because there are some controls now in your groups where people go into moderation. You could pre-approve people before joining. So that cuts down a lot of spam as well when people are going into moderation. So let's talk a second, since we're talking about LinkedIn, what are some ways that you use LinkedIn as a photographer and as a teacher for your business?
I think as a photographer, you have to be really careful how you use it, because we're tempted to just post a bunch of photographs and say, this is what I took here, or this is what I took there. I think that it needs to be related to something that other people are going to relate to. So if you're going to do, let's say if you're doing food photography, because we were just talking about that, why not write a short article about something that has to do with food, or something that would interest the restaurant owners? In other words, whoever is your market, that's the person you want to think about when you're posting that image. And what I see, it's not only there. What I see is a lot of people just, posting these images without using that real estate in a really great way. So if you add it to to the people that you want to chat with or to the people you need attention from, it's going to make your image much more interesting, and you'll probably get more engagement from that.
Exactly. So you want to be utilizing the Pulse articles and talking about putting the photos within it and adding some text to it as well. I think another great way for photographers for LinkedIn is to really optimize your profile and add images, because, you know, a lot of people don't know that slideshare.net is associated with LinkedIn. So you could actually add, you know, a slideshow of all your great work, you know, right onto your profile so people can see your portfolio. And I think all photographers should be, you know, adding in those, when you edit, you can click on and you can add media, whether it's a YouTube video, or, you know, if you make a video about your work and your slides and your pictures, or you can add actual photos and website links. So I think a lot of people don't take advantage of that, and they should, because, I mean, for photographers are very visual people, right? So everything's visual.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it's really important to have your images up there. And the SlideShare is actually quite good because you have them all. You can do different bodies of work. So let's say if you do portrait, you do food, you do baby, you can have these different bodies of work with a proper title that, again, will attract the kind of people that are interested in what you're doing. But it's a great way to keep showing your work. Yeah, that's very important.
Exactly. So LinkedIn has, I mean, a lot of big photographers, Marguerite, would probably think, well, LinkedIn's not really the place, you know, to be, but it actually is, especially if you're like looking to get work as a photographer. Depending on what you're doing with companies, corporations, you know, if you take pictures of products, it's a great place for you to find the decision makers and the leaders. So you should not overlook it. But of course, you know, the mainstays, I guess, for photographers would be Pinterest, Instagram, right? Those would be the ones, you know, gravitate toward.
I'm wondering nowadays, because I think, that's where a lot of photographers are, because you just put your photos in and then it's very entertaining, and I'm not sure if they're using it to the best of that, to the best of for their benefit. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I think, Instagram is awesome because you can, you know, showcase all your work, but then you've got to be very careful about tagging. And what I like about LinkedIn is that you can join the groups and you can start looking for the people that you want to get to know. And Instagram, that's a little bit harder. You can tag each photograph to 20 different people. And then you also have to be very careful because you don't want to inundate people with your images. So there's a special way of doing that, I think. But so Instagram is wonderful. I haven't played much with Tumblr, but I've heard of people being successful with that. I think it's certain markets, you know, Tumblr is better for certain markets. Pinterest is awesome because you can really create different boards for different types of markets, and you can do one that could be maybe a little bit more social, one that could be more visual, one that could be more business-like. So you can really play there. Of course, you can waste a lot of time there too.
Oh, that's for sure. That's the places that you can showcase. And of course, Facebook, Facebook is a place, you know, where photographers are really going to, be able to reach a lot of people as well, especially with using Facebook ads. I think you have to really determine there's so many different types of photographers, right, Marguerite? I mean, you've got, you know, people who do commercial stuff down to like food and babies and families and, you know, models and actors. And so it really depends where your target market is where you should really be, right?
Right. I'm wondering if Pinterest right now might be one of the more interesting places because it's easier to engage with people. And that's just because you can look for your potential clients and you can end up finding a lot of them, and you can post things and share it with them in an easier way than the other ones. Facebook is getting harder and harder to share, right? Unless you do an advertising or, it's just getting a little bit more difficult. So I'm wondering if Pinterest might be a little bit more interesting for photographers to do that.
What are some of the ways you use Pinterest to highlight your work and to, get new clients and customers?
So one thing that I find really interesting is that many people don't think about who is their customer. And that's the hardest thing for artists and photographers, and actually for a lot of people, because I teach this business class. And whenever you go, who's your customer? They go, everyone. And you go, oh, no, let's think about this again. So, and this is where Pinterest is really good, because once you think about who's your customer, so it could be, let's say you do interiors, photography of interiors of homes, right? So then you would think, okay, designers, decorators, anyone that has to do with that kind of industry. And once you know what it is that they do, you start looking for who it is that does that. And then with Pinterest, you can share a board with them. You can kind of find out something they published last month or something like that and say, look, I have some ideas for you. And it can be all visual. It doesn't have to be this big, long letter saying, I would love to work with you. It could just be a big board that says, look, I've got some really great ideas. What do you think? And that's a nice way of approaching people. That's one way. If
That's
you're
really
looking
a great idea. So sharing your boards, and you bring such a great point up. And I think this, like you said, it's so overlooked, and people are looking at, okay, well, who's going to buy from me directly? And, obviously you want to know where those people are. But the other end of it is like you just said about designers and interiors. It's who is in my sphere of influence who can refer me. Because really, photographers, you get the referrals. Any business, really, you're going to get referrals. So if you're on, Pinterest and you share with an interior designer some of your photos because you take pictures of houses, that's great. That person may, work with you or refer you. And that's why LinkedIn, again, going back to LinkedIn is so great, because you could really, target locally as well as Facebook as well. You can do Facebook ads to target local. So you bring up a great point of that people really have to know and plan before you spend time on any social media site. Where is the people you want to target, whether they're, your direct client customer or whether it's someone who can refer you one of those clients or customers.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's super important to spend a little bit more of time with that. And it is the most challenging one, because you have to divide everything up and think about what it is that you're offering. It comes down to that as well, because I think a lot of photographers want to work with everything. They want to offer everything because the market's becoming more and more competitive. So someone that does portraits also may want to do weddings and do this and do that. And it becomes so enormous, their possibilities. It's very hard to target, to create a really good list. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is to think about what it is you want to offer, how you want to work, and then go from there. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually just put in a comment to say hello to Cheshire's Life. I said hello, but I spelled hello wrong. We want to say hello and welcome. And we have someone actually wants, he left. He was going to try to join in. David's here, Shannon's here, Marlon's here. We want to welcome everybody who's joined us too here. Rocky and Leanne. Hello, everybody, and welcome. If you want to make sure to follow us, just click on the little man with the check. And, if you want to, thank you so much, Marian, for sharing on Twitter. You could tell Little Bird here. And if you're just joining us, Marguerite has some great tips for social media secrets for photographers, because she is a photographer, so she knows this business. So when we're talking, let's go back to Instagram for a second. How are you? I know you spend a lot of time on Instagram. How are you building followers? What are some of your strategies and techniques that you're using over there?
I think at the beginning it was a little bit easier, and now it's getting a little bit challenging. But what I do is, again, I'm thinking about what customer I want for what. So for now, I'm focusing a lot on the food photography class, and I'm trying to think who needs that class. And it's going to be restaurant chefs. And I made a list of people who might be interested or who might be able to refer me to someone that's going to need this class, the people that are going to benefit from it. And so every time I do a post, and right now what I'm doing is I'm adding a few sneak previews from the class and things like that, things that for them to see, that it might interest them and how it might interest them. And I tag the chefs and I tag the different people that are involved with that market. And that's how I'm doing it. And I'm also, the thing that I think is most important is that a lot of people think that it's all about just showing, this is what I do, this is what I do. And I spend a lot of time telling them what I think of their photographs. So I'm actually communicating. I'm not just going, this is what I do. So I write to them. I tell them why I think something is really good. And then And that's how I do it. And I think that's the most important. I think a lot of people, we forget because we're all busy, so we're thinking, I've got to do this. Let me do this social media very quickly. And, 10 minutes, it's done. But then you forgot to chat. And so that's the important thing.
That's a really important point that you just brought up, is the engagement, right? We may be like, as photographers, maybe posting your images, which are gorgeous all over the place, but are you taking the time to stop and engage and with other people, with your followers, the people who are following you because they love your work, and maybe they're the budding photographers themselves, and you're critiquing their stuff and helping them along the way. And I think with all social media, that is really crucial that you engage, engaging, sharing and then engaging, because if you just do one without the other, you're not going to get the same results on social media. You really want to reach out to other people. I'm going to welcome now again, Robin and TCS and Tom. Thank you guys for joining us today. And there's so many places, the newer places, we'll talk for a second, like here, Blab, being here on Blab is a new place for, how can photographers, like now Marguerite sharing social media secrets, but what are some ways, you guys watching right now, how could you, what can you do here on Blab to promote your businesses and share your work? Any ideas, Marguerite?
I don't know. It'd be good to see if somebody has an idea. I was trying to think about that, how could they do it? Because this is all about chatting. But I think it would be a really cool place to show behind the scenes, although I'm not quite sure you'd go around with a computer, but it's doable. Or it could be just a chat behind the scenes. And I think that could be interesting. Again, every time you do that, I think you've got to gear it towards who it is that you want to attract. I think that would be really important. So for photography, I would have to think about that, but that would be my first thought. It would be the behind the scenes things.
I think it's depending, right, on who you're, so let's give an example. Marguerite teaches a baby newborn photography class, which is online. It's an online class. But say if she wanted to reach new moms here on Blab, for example, and she did a Blab about how to photograph your baby. Obviously, we don't have with the Blab that, we're not screen sharing and we're in here, limited here. But what she could do is you could actually hold up a camera and show people new moms the settings on the camera, or hold up your smartphone and say, okay, this is here are some ideas, and give some tips that way. Let's say you're a wedding photographer, for example. You could be giving some, just talking advice to new brides. How to pose, what to do with your makeup, make sure you do this and that, and of the day of the wedding. I don't know these secrets, but you guys do. And that would be great. So really any type of, if you're talking to people in an industry or business, you could be speaking some of these tips and ideas and giving them some great advice. So this is a great thing you guys should all be doing. Another place Marguerite really is taking advantage of lately is Periscope. So Marguerite, tell us how you've been using Periscope.
And that one, I think that photographers underuse. I think that's too bad, because that's a fabulous place, because it takes you just a few minutes to have that the phone camera on and to do the behind the scenes. I keep saying that, but you see, people are fascinated with behind the scenes. They love seeing it's like us, we're chatting, and somebody might just come in and listen, what are they talking about? And that's what Periscope is all about. So I think, it's also about all sorts of other things. But if you have it in the studio and you have it just a little bit before you start a photo session, or after, or right in the middle, you can ask your assistant to turn it on. And people are going to love that and just chat about what you do. And it will create a following. And I think that's a great way to invite your customers to come and see what's going on and how you work. I really wish that more photographers would use that. I think they're losing out on something that's really important. And it's so visual and not much chatting. It's so cool to see what's going on.
That is a great idea. I love that, behind the scenes now. So whatever, if, for example, you do the behind the scenes with the food, you'll be eating in a restaurant and you'll be teaching people on Periscope how to photograph a particular dish, at the restaurant. But like you said, there's so many ways. If you're in the studio, if you're photographing a family or children, you ask their permission, say, I want to live stream this right now for a few minutes and say, hey, everybody, look, I'm here. I'm photographing this family, and this is some of the things that I'm doing. And you get a lot of other families who may be really interested in that. Or if it's a wedding, on set of a location of a wedding, you can be right there. People love to be where you are. They find it really on location, on location here. And for those of you photographers who do models and actors, I mean, that's real. People love that type of stuff too, going, you could if you have a makeup artist, go up to the makeup artist with your Periscope and say, listen, tell some tips here for the makeup and move over. And here's the set. And here we're setting up lighting. And I mean, sky's the limit, depending on what type of photography you do. Is Stasher's Life says people love it when you keep it real. Absolutely. Yes. That is so true. I mean, the more real you are, the more down to earth you are, the more, you're sharing and allowing people into your life, into your work, the more they're going to relate to you. And I think, when you're thinking about something like, Periscope, when you're on location, you can hit that location button. I wouldn't do that if you're home, because home, you don't.
After I heard that, that talk,
I find out exactly where you are. But if you're on location, you attract local people, because a lot of photographers are local. I mean, it's only if you're doing the photographing stuff, you're not flying all over the world unless you're an international photographer. So you want to try to build that local audience. A tip I want to give everybody, if you have a Facebook fan page, is, use the ads feature and promote your page, but do it if you're doing a certain location. We're here in South Florida. So say Marguerite's Miami. Our zone is, say, Miami. We would just target people in Miami. So wherever you're living, you can do that and have only those people in a specific age group that you want. So say if you are targeting, you do photography for children, for example. So you will want parents from like 25 to 45 with small kids, who like, Parents Magazine, blah, blah, blah. And you get them to like your fan page. This way, when you're posting stuff, they're going to, if you pay, like Marguerite now say, if you pay Facebook, they're going to show your ads. You're going to do your post. You got to pay to play, but it's cheap. That's the one thing. People complain about it with Facebook, but it's so cheap. I mean, when you compare it to Google AdWords, which can be very, very expensive, Facebook still will beat that. And you can really highly zoom in and target the exact people who are going to see your ads. So I still suggest it, for your marketing budget. I think it's a great place for photographers, especially local photographers, to build their following of people. The people that are going to continually need pictures. I mean, I guess it's hard. We're talking, there's so many different kinds of photography. So if any of you photographers are here on the side here, you want to put in the comments what kind of photographer you are, that right, Marguerite, that probably helpful.
Let us know. That'd be cool.
Because there's so many, there's so many different things. Yeah. So Marguerite, what would you say is your favorite social media site out of all of them right now? Which one are you really loving the most?
I think it's still Instagram, because I love, just looking at all the, looking at all the images, and it's so much fun. It's something that I look at, right? I shouldn't say this, but before I go to sleep and when I wake up. Right now, I'm beginning.
Because you're visual, you're a photographer, right? You want to see people's pictures, and then they got all the effects and everything that's going on, and the pictures all enhanced. So Instagram is a great place, and you've been building a following there. What have you been doing specifically to build the following, to get more people to be following you? The big difference started when I started writing comments down and not just putting an emoji. I think that's what changed, and that's what started getting people. Yeah. And I get people writing on mine, or at least I'm getting many more likes or a few little comments. But that's what really changed. That's how I got more followers like that. Well, I'm looking at the comments here of some of the different types of photographers we have. We have a landscape, street photography. Marguerite, what is your Instagram handle?
Marguerite Beaty. My name is up there.
You know what? Type it in. Was it Create Photos on Instagram, or your Marguerite?
No, Instagram is my name.
Okay.
By the way, I'm going to tell you, don't do what I did, see, my company's name is Create Photos, and you can see it. It's there. I just, typed it, and I'll follow you, Tom. And then what happened is, because I was thinking, well, Instagram is fun. I'm going to make it's more mine, and I made it personal. Then Twitter, I use for business. So I did @Create Photos. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't do what I did. Name for everything. Nobody is going to find you, and they're going to think you're a little bit crazy. And that's how I feel. But now I can't change, because I have, enough of people, followers here or there, and I don't want to start all over again. So
that's a good point. So develop your persona, whatever it's going to be. I see Tom here, Tom, Mark, and photo. Okay, that's perfect because people know that's who you are and you use that, which is great. Tom does travel, but corporate event and product photography. Very interesting. So Tom, I could see you over, on LinkedIn would be your, in addition to Instagram, obviously LinkedIn, you'll find a lot of corporate people and corporations and sharing, like Marguerite suggested, those Pulse articles.
Yeah.
Updates. For some reason lately on LinkedIn, I'm getting more people viewing my updates than my Pulse articles, which used to be the opposite. So make sure you do post and share the pictures. The pictures on the feed of LinkedIn really get noticed, and write a little something about them, and make sure you get in front of the people. Tom says, yes, he has to take advantage of LinkedIn. He has over 35 contacts, so that's great. That is fantastic.
Oh my God! You have to communicate with them. My other social media. Oh, yeah. See, I think it's one that, especially for people that did more business or corporate things, they were doing more LinkedIn, and people have been dropping it because it's, it does take time. And I think that's a big problem that we photographers have. And I have that problem, and Christina knows that. And now I'm getting much better. And that is to really take your time and write to the people and chat with them. And look, I like to talk to you. You like to talk to me. They will too. It's just that we end up thinking like, oh, I don't know what am I going to say? But don't keep selling yourself, but keep communicating, give them information. And I think many photographers think they don't have enough information, but your work is a lot of information. A photo, like I said, with a paragraph or something like that, and participate in the groups. If you have all those people, that's fantastic. That's really great.
That's really, really great. Yeah. And okay. Thankfully, it's have to go early. Thank you so much for being on Sessions Life. We really enjoyed having you here. We've got other types of crystals here. Hello, Crystal. We've a nature, landscape, historical from Florida. Now that's interesting. You guys who are doing this nature, landscape stuff definitely got to be on Periscope too, and share, because that's exciting. People want to see other parts of the country. She's saying from Florida to Maine. Like if I'm following you on Periscope and you're like, today we're in Maine and I'm going to show you, this whatever's in Maine, lobsters in Maine, or whatever. I'm showing you how, these beautiful guys. People are really going to love that, and they're going to want to know where they can buy your photos if you're selling those landscape photos too as art, because that's really. Really, really great. So we've got amateur photography, exploring Blab. Blab is just a great place, like we were saying, for this. And let's see. Yeah, this is real. Okay. And Tom, your oldest social media platform is LinkedIn. Okay. Yeah. And really, and one thing I was thinking, like, definitely, if you're going to do an article, let's say you're going to do a Pulse article. Okay. Let's say and we don't have any photographers here doing this right now, but let's say you do headshots for business owners. So you could write an article. How your profile is hurting your business. Your profile photo hurts your business. And you can go into the points, the bullet points. If you're outdated, people, it's credibility. People meet you and you look, you're 20 years younger in your profile. And I am guilty of this. I need to update my headshot. So yes, I am guilty. I am guilty of this. It's a little, a couple of years old now, and I do need to update it. So I got to take my own advice. But things like this, or if you have an inappropriate, this is the biggest thing, and Marguerite knows I tell this story. The biggest problem on LinkedIn especially is not having a professional photo as your profile. So you've got these people, running around with the low-cut shirt, and they say, I'm a business person. I own a company. Okay, you got the glass of wine in your hand? No. These people need professional headshots. So you could write an article about the need for that. So think about what the people, that you're having, whatever you're photographing. If it's a company and it's for products, you can write an article how having bad photos on your website of your products hurts your business. Or like for Marguerite, she can write about how, for the food photography, are you a chef or a restaurant owner, and are you watching what's getting put out on social media? Is your food photography being highlighted in the best light with people using their smartphones? Because, people are not going to always have access to the great camera there for this type of thing at the restaurant. And that's what Marguerite teaches, how to do these photos with your smartphone. So these are type of great ideas for articles, not only for LinkedIn, but for your blog. I think all photographers should have a blog. Marguerite does. Hopefully you guys are blogging.
Yeah, that's really important. I think that's another thing. And I understand this because photography takes a lot of time. And by the time that we're finished doing a photo shoot or you know, a landscape or whatever it is, whatever kind of photo, everyone's exhausted. And I understand that because it's physically exhausting. But if and it took me a while to do this, so I can relate to this. So if you pick 2 days out of the week that you'll write the blogs, that's going to help you tremendously. And make it days that you'll give yourself something really nice. Don't make it food because you're getting overweight, but do something, you know, that you'll go to the movies after, or something that gives you pleasure, so that you really do that, because a blog is going to help you. And you can repurpose it. You can add it to Google Plus. You can add it to LinkedIn, which is really important. You can do all sorts of things. So if you keep doing that, that's going to help your site get more attention.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I personally do is like this blab and all the blabs that I do, this will go onto my blog. And then from my blog, first thing it's going to go to, and this is also great for Periscope. And I'll just talk about Periscope for a minute. Make sure if you're on Periscope, you also sign up at katch.me, and make sure all of your Periscope videos will automatically, they will go to catch.me. And you also want to go in your settings and make sure you save that your video to your camera roll. So once you're having this camera roll of this video that you did, you're going to want to take that video, and this is what Marguerite does very successfully. She repurposes it. So Marguerite, tell us how you take the video and you drop it into. You use Camtasia for this?
I use I use 2 things. I use iMovie to do a minor editing, just because it's easier for me. And then I put it on Camtasia, where I have a background that has my my Periscope and my Twitter address, and then it has my website. And that way it'll have the film will be like this in the middle, and on the sides I have my personal information, and that gets repurposed to YouTube. Because with Periscope, yeah, it's really great. And if you want, go to YouTube, and I have instructions on how to do it step by step. So on Periscope, all you get is that, and you can't write your information or anything like that. So it's up to us to repurpose and do it in a really cool way.
Yes. So you've got it YouTube, and then you could take and embed that YouTube video right onto your blog post. And then if you have a share button on the bottom of your blog, all you do is just, share Twitter, share on, all the LinkedIn and Google Plus. And if you have Tumblr, and spread it out throughout social media. So you're really getting, in groups on LinkedIn, share that, your tips and stuff that you're helping people do. And if you're, photographing, like we said, if you're out there on the scene, take all those, repurpose it, because you never know who's going to see that.
Yeah.
And they make sure that you always have, when you share, that you're sharing it from your blog, which is part of your website. You're going to have links in there for them to find you and to hire you or to buy from you, whatever you're doing. So this way, it's a good place for them to be watching it at, as opposed to sending them directly to YouTube if you don't have that information, contact information for them to be able to see your portfolio and your other work. So you want to, have that, the blog should be the hub of the wheel, and everything else comes out from that. And it's, you want to always make sure you post your important stuff on there first. So hello, Mike. Mike just joined us. Marguerite, you're Marguerite Beaty on YouTube. Marguerite has some great videos on YouTube. Okay, great. We have that there because these all these great sites that we should be taking advantage of. I mean, now with Twitter, I don't love Twitter. I'm on Twitter. It's never been one of my favorites, but lately I've been paying more attention, only because we're here, we're connected to Twitter on Blab, and we're connected on Periscope with Twitter.
Yeah.
So as those followers grow, so does your Twitter follower, vice versa. So you are going to want to pay a little more attention to Twitter, and always tweet whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, and share your photos and stuff on there.
And all this out of photo. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. You're always doing that. Yes. So I'm trying to see if there's any more comments over here. Does anybody want to jump into the seat here and
jump in? Come on.
Yeah, jump on in. We'll let you in, and we'll chat a little
that and jump in.
You can tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, great. Here's Mark.
Oh, cool.
And then we have Roy too. Okay, we've got 2. And let me let Mark in as well. There we go.
Hello.
Hi, Roy. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm well today. How are you?
Great, great. So you're both photographers. Mark, what kind of photographer are you again?
Portrait. I've had some wedding in my background, but I did jump on here a little bit. I have some good friends that are still working hard and growing their businesses. It's taken a little back seat for me right now, but I thought any information I can share on them, social media secrets and tips to pass on to them, I'd love to just share the info. So.
Great, great. We're so glad you're here to join us. And Roy, what kind of photographer are you?
Oh, I didn't know being a photographer was a criteria to get in. I just got into it. You guys don't lie.
Oh, okay. No, I naturally assumed you were, but okay, no, that's fine. So, Mark, do you have any specific? What are you using right now? What's your favorite social media site?
With my company, I still use it's particularly useful. Instagram. I need to grow the Pinterest awareness, and even LinkedIn now, because I'm going to be connecting with business owners in the hospitality, spa, hotel kind of group for my particular product. But even as a photographer, I've enjoyed Instagram video. Now I can use Twitter video. And I've used apps like Legend, or I've used, online here on computer, Canva, PicMonkey. There's a new gentleman who's the CEO of a company called Relay That, which is a very good word. Yeah, definitely worth checking out his. Let me type that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, type that in. Relay that. That's great. We love new tools and apps. And
very easy to use. This would take over if you're used to Canva or PicMonkey like that. This would even be more so. And he's offering I think free 2-week trial, possibly a month to kind of test it out. Very drag and drop, very easy to go through. I want to make sure I put that link in correctly. Yes, it's coming up. Relaythat.com.
That sounds wonderful.
But the typical ones where you can have any kind of visual presence, but I guess behind it all, I think consistency is always what I've heard. Consistently reach out, give your, show a variety of sides for you as a photographer. But I've heard various tips along the lines of, like, say specifically in Instagram, how and when you should comment, how many hashtags, where at certain times, kind of timing of things I've picked up on. But what else more could you, because I didn't catch obviously the very first of your blab, what else more would you share to photographers for them good to do on the social media?
Let me just say one thing about timing. Now, I know that there's all sorts of sciences and sites that you can go to find your timing. And the truth is, everybody's going to be different, and you're probably not going to fit into that exactly. So what I suggest, and that was my experience, was to post, like I did it 3 times a day, and I started paying attention to which ones got more attention. By the way, it had nothing to do with the time they told me to post.
There you go. See, that's good.
Yes. But now it goes back to what I had said, which it took me a while to do, is that you need to take time to get to know it. Because I think the big problem with all of us, everyone, especially photographers, because we don't like to read instructions, right? And so the minute someone says, oh, you should do this and this, you're going to go, oh, well, when that's going to happen, right? And so the truth is, it took me a while to go, okay, I'm really going to have to slow down and pay attention to what's going on instead of just posting like crazy. And so that was one of the things I did. And on Instagram, that worked out really well. And on Facebook, because I have several pages on Facebook. So for the baby photography, which my customers are mostly women, or my the people that are mostly women, and moms, it was at night. Again, a different time than what Facebook had told me. And it was a certain, between 9 and 10, which makes sense. That's when moms put their, babies to bed. And so they have a little bit of time to waste on social media. And so I think that's the big thing, is to take your time to get to know when your people are on.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And it take a week, and do take it. You probably won't, but try.
No, I appreciate that.
And then, it took me a while.
You do have to feel it out. What's best for you? Yeah, whatever your followers are engaging with you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say real quick, a little tech space called over Craig Carpenter. Craig is the creator, CEO of Relay That. So I can jump out.
Oh.
Let him talk to you, ladies.
Great. Oh, we have an open seat here.
Great.
Yeah, he'll
stepped out.
That would be fun.
Craig, jump in and share your wealth, man. You've got a great site, and 14-day trial is on his site.
Oh, great. We'd love to learn more about that because that's a great tool, for, here we go. Let me let Craig in. Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm sitting here chatting, and this thing pops up and it says, it had my name.
Notification, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like an email or Twitter. It just kind of popped out of my
Is that the first time that's happened to you, Craig? Is that the first time that's happened?
I think so. Yeah. I must have turned on notifications somehow or something. Okay.
Exactly. Get used to that because I think it was Jay that's in here, Little Tech Space, called you over. He just by typing in your name, and I'll probably be doing it in the future too. When there's going to be a discussion like this, and if you have your notifications, then that's for you ladies too to remember put that on. If someone's going to call you into a room they think might have benefit to you, or you might be able to give value to others, so that's worth it to have that on.
Yeah,
I like it as long as I'm not in my PJs or whatever.
Yeah.
I know. Now we all have to be really careful.
Well, you're lucky, you guys. You don't have to worry about putting your makeup on, so you can just roll out of bed. You can jump in. Us women, we're like, no camera.
Craig, I was mentioning your name because they were asking me about different tools or apps used for helping improve your photography business or any business, and yours immediately popped in my head of just an option as if you don't want to use Canva, or if you don't want to do it, and the ease and use it and what value you provide. So hopefully I'll just let you speak from here and you can share it from there.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. And I've just been chatting with people about it, and we just launched about a month ago. So we're really just starting to get a lot of traction. It's nice. Is it Marguerite and Christina? Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you too.
So, since I don't really have anything prepared, I'll just kind of give you the 2-second version of this, or maybe a little longer, but basically there's a lot of great tools out there like Canva, PicMonkey, WordSwag. There's a lot of people that are helping people create graphics, which I think are awesome, and helping people get away from the complexity of Photoshop. I personally have been a 3D animator and designer my whole life, and I've identified with this space over time this past year, and I kind of have created the tool of the way that I would see it. And to me, productivity and kind of results are more important to businesses, I see, than just kind of sharing other people's Thomas Edison quotes or, just inspirational quotes. And for a lot of people, they want massive value out of these tools. So I've kind of identified features that no other tool has in the marketplace right now. And we're at a tipping point, to be honest with you. So you're coming in to learn about this at the perfect time. It wasn't all that clear or easy as it was 6 months ago. But now, to be honest with you, we have search engine optimization automation on the images. So when you export images, it actually tags with keywords you want to rank for. People are actually dominating Google image search with that feature. The biggest way I could explain Relay that's totally different is when you create one graphic, all the other graphics follow suit. So once you add your website in once, currently we have 200 graphics that are part of a growing library, and you don't have to type that again in unless you want to change your website again. So it really is more of a focused branding tool where once you also create a Twitter graphic, for example, at the click of a button, you also have your Pinterest, Facebook, headers, Instagram, pretty much at the click of a button, all other platforms follow that graphic. So
that's great.
You can literally.
Is it LinkedIn too? Do you have the LinkedIn? Because I know Canva doesn't. How we were talking about that last week at our LinkedIn.
I've actually identified, and this is, I think, another thing where since we're so small and nimble, I've identified a lot of templates and layouts that I feel aren't out there. One of them is LinkedIn Pulse. The other one is just the style of the graphics. So I focus, and this is, I'm becoming more and more clear about this, but I want to focus on peers and people that are being interviewed as opposed to teaching people how to design better looking graphics, if that makes sense. I know that might sound a little weird, but I want to focus on the headshots and the interviews, the virtual summits, the conferences, things that are attached to faces that people recognize, because I see a trend that that's where people are going to lift up their peers. And excite those people about sharing their content. So instead of, going back to the quotes, instead of sharing, inspirational Ben Franklin quotes that people maybe have seen 100 times, why not pull a quote or an insight from a blab, put it into a quote, and in a matter of seconds, put it into a Twitter feed, and people love it. Like I've done it live at conferences where people were speaking, and I type in their quote, and by the time they get back to the room, it's already got 10 likes on Twitter. So,
and you're turning it into an image. So for people who are like watching now, they're not on, you're similar to Canva and to PicMonkey, but totally different because you have all these new features that they don't have. And this is very beneficial because one thing with just for social media is and I have a chart on this, the most thing that's liked better than video is graphics. I mean, we know that it's on social media. It's the most shared, most popular. I mean, if they think graphics are number one and then videos. And then everything, then reading, and then everything. So graphics are so important for anybody, for any business, but especially for photographers because of what you do. So you're saying that we can, like, a photographer could type in their website, and then you'll pull their own images from their website that they can then turn into different graphics?
It doesn't do that yet. It's a drag and drop feature, but it's really intuitive. Instead of loading things up, you simply drag it into a box and it's there. Now, in all fairness, with automation, you got to give up, there's this balance of trying to automate design, which it's not really a design tool. It's a speed and efficiency tool that gets you in and out quickly. However, I've been a photographer for 7 years before this, and, on top of all the design stuff. So one of the features in there is watermarking, and you can have like 4 or 5 different levels of watermarking. So you could have a very discrete attribution credit, or if you wanted a big fat logo right in the middle, with transparency, you can do that. So kind of, for lack of better saying this, I've kind of taken 20 years of what I've learned creating graphics and now applying it to social media graphics and blogs. So, I hand entered probably 5,000 different photos over 7 years of trying to rank for those key terms in the wedding and event industry. And I can't even think, it probably took me many, many hours to do that. So I wanted to automate that process and bring that into Relay, to be honest with you.
That sounds real. I'm definitely can't wait to check it out. You brought up a point which is interesting that just made me think of something about, I know photographers especially, and I'm not a photographer, I run Standout Media Group and I'm a marketer and I, do all things like that. But I know a lot of photographers are really funny with their photos. They want to put that big, you said, watermark in the middle, when they take pictures so nobody can, reproduce it. From a marketing perspective, move it to the bottom, to the side with your website link, make it your name and your website, because like somebody's going to have a wedding, the bride before she picks is going to post it on social media. Which one do you like better before I order? So why make it that you can barely see the picture and you've got this big watermark in the middle that's maybe fancy, but nobody gets. So photographers, put it over to the side, make it so your URL is more visible. So somebody says, wow, that's a great picture. My daughter's getting married. See this picture? Oh, there's the website. I can go hire you. I think that'll get you more business than worrying so much that I got to destroy the picture with the giant watermark. Just my opinion from the outside looking in. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of that.
It all depends on how much that person wants to protect their content. Sure. And I think that a lot of people are a lot more open with media and sharing it. But what I've seen is a lot of people are not branding their own content, and they're sharing other people's content because it's really difficult to create the amount of content that you need to stand out. So there's a bulk process tool that we're actually adding into as a feature. We haven't launched that yet. It's going to be here in about a month. Imagine an author taking 50 quotes out of their own book, picking a layout that promotes their book, dragging in the cover of the book, that's done, and then clicking a button and all 50 of those quotes are batch processed and exported in the matter of a minute. So I have the first version of this was a desktop tool. Now we've created the web-based app, and I'm catching up with the functionality of what the desktop tool could do with Photoshop. I
like that. That's a great idea for authors, people sharing their information and quotes. And so this is going to make it easier for everyone to be able to get their content out there instead of, like even with Canva, it takes a little bit of skill to, to be able to, you have to play around with it. I love Canva, but it's not, people who have no design skills whatsoever don't have the easiest time with it. But you're saying that this is going to be super easy. So somebody with no design skills can jump on there and be able to get their stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've identified that it's not a design tool because there really is nothing to design. The content automatically fits in the predetermined boxes. And for lack of better analogy, I actually was thinking about this the other day. It's kind of like going bowling, where you put on the bumpers and everything kind of automatically fits. And the other thing that I've noticed is even with these design tools, there are things called layers. And what that means is some things are on top of other things. And what happens is people get the content and start moving it around. And suddenly it gets very confusing when you have 5 or 6 things in there. In Relay, there are no layers. It's simply like turning on and off a light switch. So all you do is you say, okay, on Pinterest, I don't want my website or my, maybe I only want my logo. So you simply, everything is right there and you simply click it on and off based on what you want to show for the platform.
Well, not to cut you off, Craig, I just wanted to ask you if you can quickly, because I'm going to just get back to Marguerite with some of these tips, but can you just tell us again, it's Relay That, and there's a free trial for how long, a month or 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's currently a 14-day trial. It's relaythat.com. And by the way, Mark, thanks for bringing me in here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This was great. I'm going to be checking it out afterwards. I'm going to be signing up. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
I have to give credit to Jay and over there, but you're welcome to hear anything. And I'm going to step out too, ladies. I'll listen from the.
Thank you, Mark. Great, thank you. Well, that was fantastic.
I just checked out the site. It looks interesting. Yeah,
great. And it brings up a good point. What we were talking about as far as for social media for photographers. One of the, obviously sharing your images is super, super important. Protecting them as well. So you do want to put a nice, but get people back to your website, and this way they can share the photos and things can go viral, and you can be able to, because what you guys are naturally taking photographs, so that's going to be the biggest thing you're going to share on social media,
right?
In addition to writing and stuff too. So Marguerite, tell us some other things that you use, any other tools and secrets that you have for social media.
Let me see. I was trying to think of what other platforms. I think those are the ones that I think are the most important. And I think the biggest thing, and it's not really a secret, and I had mentioned it before, it's the importance of the engagement. And one thing that I didn't mention is I think it's important to do the automation. You want to have your post scheduled so that you're always participating, because we can't be on the phone the whole time or on social media the whole time. But then you do have to schedule a few times a week where you're going to participate and answer people back and write to them and be really proactive about it. I think that's really, it's not a secret, but it's the most important thing to do. And I think it's the thing that people do less of.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing. I found out today just a Periscope secret that I'll just share with everybody. That now I didn't, actually discover it myself. Mark Shaw from Tag Tribes. If you're on Periscope, make sure you join the Tag Tribes on Facebook, the Tag Tribe community. When you add hashtag Tag Tribes to your scopes, people follow you back and you follow them, and it's a really great community. Well, the leader, Mark Shaw, he had put out a Periscope that I watched, and he said that when you're on patch.me, which you want to be on, and you're connected to Twitter, you can go back and watch your replays and see all the comments that were on your scope, and then communicate, like Marguerite, you were saying about engaging. Go back to those people who watched, follow them on Twitter, thank them for watching after the fact, and ask them if they have any other questions for you. So you're engaging and making relationships with people who took the time to actually watch you. So you could do that here too on Blab. We see all these people on the side here. Let's all follow each other.
Right.
Let's support each other. Let's follow each other on Twitter and on Blab. So this way we're building relationships with each other, and that with any business, whether you're a photographer or not, that's really key. So I thought that was a really good tip that he had there for Periscope and for, for engagement.
That is really good. I hadn't thought of, I didn't know about that. And that is fantastic.
I didn't know about it today until today, till I watched, watched the other scope. And I thought that was a really great idea to be able to go back. Because sometimes the comments, if you're anybody here's been on Periscope, the comments, just like here on the side, they come up really fast and you can miss them a lot as well. Yes. So I thought that was a great thing. And do these blabs, jump in and do a blab, talk about whatever is your specialty in photography. Jump on. You see, we've got 28 people here. Jump on and talk about it. If you do landscape photography, talk about your upcoming trips, any ideas. There's going to be a lot of people out there who want to take their own photos. They're going to have questions for you. Is it better? I'm not a photographer, so I'm just, saying anything like in this light or at dusk or dawn or facing east or west or whatever tips you have. You can talk about them with people, and other people can jump on it.
Something really fun to do, which is what's in your bag, what's in your travel bag. And people love that, especially for photographers, because we all want to take tons of things. And then when you start speaking to photographers, you see that they take less and thing, and you wonder how they do it. Or, how do you prepare for a trip? Or, how do you prepare for a photo shoot? So there's a lot to chat about. Yes. Now I'm thinking, now that we started talking.
Yeah, there's so many things for social media that could be super interesting to people that you can be sharing with them about your business, that it's going to engage them, and they're going to want to learn more about you, and are going to want to follow you, and then eventually hire you. So that's the whole point, is to be really super interesting with people. I'm going to look, let me just see here on these comments.
Less and portable, yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's really a great way to. It's really about sharing great content, engaging. But number one, going back to the beginning, whoever came on late and missed the beginning, the most crucial thing you can do is to know who your target market is and where they're hanging out. I call it your tribe. Where is your tribe of people? And these are people who are hungry for your products, for your photos, for your services. Where are they? And, if you're a corporate photographer or product photographer like Tom, you want to be LinkedIn, obviously. If you're a wedding and wedding photographer, Instagram, Pinterest, women, 80% of women are on Pinterest, Facebook, So think about where your people are, and you get in front of those people. And you may want to just take a piece of paper and write this out. Who is my ideal customer, and where are they hanging out on social media? And then where are people who can refer me? Who are the people in my business sphere who can refer me business? And are they, people who would be saying, hire, Marguerite, for example, for food photography. She was bringing up the example of chefs and restaurant owners and food bloggers, because she has a food photography course. So Craig said, the biggest change I've seen in photography is set yourself apart with your personality. A lot of photographers let their photos do the talking, but it's the personal stuff that pulls the clients in. Yeah. Excellent point, Craig. And it's so true. It's you they're buying. Anything, no matter what you're selling, it's always going to be you who they're going to be buying, your personality, your expertise. They want to get to know you, in addition to the beautiful photos. So you want to become a personality. And that's why doing video is so great, by being on Periscope and being on Blab, right, Marguerite? You found that people really relate to you. They want to know you.
They love it. Yeah. And they love, Periscope is really fantastic for this, because they really love to see it. And I saw somebody wrote, sorry, tribes, image cowboys and Indians. I don't know if you would have access in some of the places, you probably don't, but if you videotape some of your photo sessions or something like that, you could add them on YouTube, or you could do a chat about that. I mean, I would be really curious about what takes part, what is it that you have to do to end up doing a photo session like that? How do you organize? How do you try? How do you get permission? All sorts of things. So, yeah.
Right, exactly. And then repurpose everything you do. Share it everywhere you can, and be active on social media. It takes, like I said, a couple minutes each day. You can be doing things, sharing at the click of your thumb, the push of your thumb on your phone. You said have your coffee and, just go around and share what you have, and make sure you cover all your bases. So great. Thank you so much, Craig, for joining us. I know we're at 2 o'clock now, so we're at an hour, but before we leave, I want Marguerite again. Marguerite teaches, if you guys are watching this and you want to have some great specific niche classes, she has a newborn baby photography class. She's got a digital introduction to the camera class. And now coming up in the next month, food photography class, all on udemy.com. If you put in her name, Marguerite Beaty, on Udemy, her classes are going to come up. And Udemy is a great platform for learning. And she also, you can get them all too at her website. Marguerite, give us the URL for your website and type it in as well.
Okay. Photographyclass.guru. So www.photographyclass.guru. And that's where you can get the classes. And actually what it is, it's a link to my Udemy courses.
Yeah, and she also does private classes as well. So she can give you, a private class by either Skype or Zoom or, right on to answer your questions and everything too. If you want to find out more about me, my website is standoutontheweb.com. I do have an ebook on there that was some cool tips and tricks. And Marguerite has a fantastic couple of really great free ebooks. You've got the one on the digital camera, which if you go to the homepage of photographyclass.guru, you're going to be able to get that for free. And if you're interested in newborn baby photography, what is the URL to get the free ebook?
It's the babyphotographyclass.com that you can get the free ebook there. And there's also a calendar for social media schedules for photographers. So it will help you organize everything. It'll give you an idea of how to organize it.
Where is that? Now that's on can we get that right on the main website? Okay.
Yes, at photographyclass.guru.
Go there and get that. That's extremely helpful for you photographers on how to post, when to post, how many times a day. She really took the time, Marguerite, to create that for you guys. And definitely, last but not least, go on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, just type in marketing and social media for photographers. That is where it's a free LinkedIn group. We can share ideas. Everybody here can jump on, share your ideas. Marguerite gives great tips for social media on there on a weekly basis. So definitely go over there and join the group. So we're at the hour mark on these marketing social media for DS on LinkedIn. Perfect. Well, thank you, Roy. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everyone. Mark, everybody today. This has been great. Thank you, Marguerite.
Thank you.
Much fun. And we're going to take this replay and we're going to post it. We're going to put it everywhere. If anybody missed anything, you can watch it again. So take care. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Bye.